category. Like, DeMonte's great. AJ's great. I say it all the time. AJ is the best receiver. I said it yesterday and I'll say it today.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about T.O. I don't give a shit about anybody in the Hall of Fame. AJ Brown is the best receiver in Eagles history. Granted, short shelf life.
It just sounded funny coming out. I don't give a shit about anybody in the Hall of Fame. Well, no, I have to agree with you.
I'm not trying to disparage Tommy McDonald.
No, I know what you're saying. Especially with the way athletes have progressed, in the last, decade and even longer than that, 50 years. AJ is a rare athlete for sure and a rare player.
And I'm not saying they don't have a bigger imprint on the team's history because they were around for a long time. I'm not talking about, but I said it to Jody. I remember saying it to Jody that AJ Brown, before they played one game, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith were the best duo of receivers the Eagles have ever had.
John, I specifically remember cutting that clip.
They are. Obviously longevity determines where they'll be in the franchise's history, but you've now seen it. This is the best receiver the Eagles have ever had. And if it ends at 4 years, what are we at? 4 years? If it ends at 4 years, enjoy those 4 years because it doesn't matter how you replace them. It's very unlikely you're going to have that level of success for 4 years. But, the bottom line is this is not a high volume passing offense. Never was, even in the up years. Won't be. We get back to our Jalen Hurts discussion, not a high volume thrower, not an insult. What part of the problem we're talking about? He's a unique player. How many times have I used that word? You either embrace it and build around it, or if you don't like it, then go in a different direction. I personally think they should embrace it and build around it because the quarterback is more important than a wide receiver. It's just the nature of football. It's more important than everything.
You say he's the best receiver in Eagle history. I agree, but how do you reason with T.O.? I mean, is it just because it's 1 year, or do you think AJ is actually a more talented player than T.O.? Because I don't know. I watch T.O. and I go back and watch. That dude was a fucking beast, John.
He was a beast, but he's also a head case. He also dropped the football a ton. He's a big play guy. So I've never put T.O. in the Jerry Rice. Some people put him in the Jerry Rice, Randy Moss category. I don't. Those guys were consistent. They didn't drop the fucking football. Now everybody drops it occasionally. The guy was a phenomenal player, but it was big plays, and he was a dominant man amongst boys type of player. But AJ's much more well-rounded, I would say.
It's hard for me to believe, man. But all right. Interesting comment there. Johnny Mack, we'll see what ends up happening with A.J. Brown and this Eagles team. What do you make of some of the other receivers, John, that have hit the market? I mean, I think even if you kept A.J. Brown, well, Jahan Dotson's on the way out. You think they feel good about Cooper being a 3, or would they look at, maybe somebody else in the open market, a trade? How do you see him handling? Maybe it's a 3rd or 4th or 5th round wide receiver. What do you think they do there? And does a name like Darnell Mooney or any of these other guys that are coming to the market, does it change the overall receiver market because the Eagles are in it? So it's I'm not saying they're going to go and get Darnell Mooney, but I'm saying if there's more options available, that changes what teams can do, which changes, how
sure.
How much?
And by the way, real quick, to prove my point here, 17 drops in 2006 led the NFL, 13 in 2000, 10 in 2001, 11 in 2003, 10 in 2007, 10 in 2008.
It's a lot of drops. We crushed AJ last year for what, 3 or 4? Big moment drops though.
Lot of drops. And the catch too, his famous game where he won the game, the catch, the San Francisco. He had 4 drops in that game. but he won the game. Yeah, there's a lot of revisionist history in the world. A lot of revisionist history.
Yeah,
I mean, that is a shitload of drops. Chris Carter could play for 600 years and never drop.
That's pretty. That's pretty funny, J-Mac. J-Mac, one thing I love about you, brother, is you say it and you back up what you say. People don't have to agree, but I appreciate the opinion. John, a couple super chats we'll get to here, close up this conversation. And we have Devin Jackson coming up. Looking forward to talking to Devin Jackson. He was at the Combine, and he's great on the NFL draft. So looking forward to talking to him. Here's Ramir. He checks in. What's up, Ramir? Good to see you, brother. Appreciate you being here. KC don't care. They develop cornerbacks, then trade them. Well, clearly they don't do. They just got rid of a two-time All-Pro. 25.
Well, and they traded Snead to Tennessee, which again, like if Tennessee's such a bad team, that's a different conversation to me. But yeah, they have too much confidence in themselves. Like, when you say things like that, we develop corners. That's ego.
What's the old phrase? The NFL is a way of humbling you.
Yes, that's ego. You happen to get.
Well, the Eagles have a little bit of that too, don't they? I mean, you referenced that with Jalen Hurts earlier, which I thought was a very good point. Like you're like, guys, I know some of you think there's like, Jalen isn't perfect, which no quarterback is, and I understand that you point out some of the deficiencies, but look around the league, man, it can get a lot worse than Jalen Hurts, which I agree with. But my one question back to you would be, does the Eagles' ego, and what's the word you always use? The hubris?
Hubris.
Hubris.
Well, same thing with the
way where they're like, well, they went from Wentz to Hurts and had no problem. Most other teams can't do that. I wonder if the Eagles have that kind of ego where they're like, it doesn't matter who comes and goes. We're going to make it work. We're going to figure out how to get the players. We're going to get to contention. In some ways, they'd be right. They've been a pretty damn good franchise the last 10 years. So I wonder that.
Yeah, I mean, with them in the draft, I mean, they've had such a good draft rates over the past, since 2021, basically with premium picks. Yeah, they definitely are in that category. The Chiefs have had so much success; they're in that category. But it will humble you. It's coming. It will humble you. Totally. And the idea we develop cornerbacks, like. I love that. I'm not picking on because everybody does it, and it's not just the Chiefs. Well, you just brought it up with the Eagles, the Packers with quarterbacks. Well, we develop quarterbacks. Howie regrets calling themselves the quarterback factory. Well, you couldn't develop Kyle McCord. You can't just develop anybody. You got to have a nice piece of clay. I'll tell you that. For any development. You will never hear me defer from players first. So for all these egomaniacs, that personnel guys and coaches, we develop this, we develop that. Yeah. And to the credit, the guys who do develop, like Stout would tell Stout gives all the credit to the players, man. Vic gives all the credit to the players. The guys who have tremendous success, they tend to be the most well-grounded. The guys who aren't doing it, they're on the field doing it every day, trying to develop these players. And there's a lot of failures along with there's always more failures than there are successes. People just forget the failures. They tend to be the most humble. The guys who are actually developing the players. Then the guys up top, they're like, yeah, we do this, we do that. You better get a nice piece of clay to develop. I'll say that.
No doubt about it. Here's another super chat here from Brian Pumper. What's up, Pump? He says the JC topic and now the TO slander. SMH J-Mac. Brian Pumper is disappointed in you. Do better tomorrow. And Xander, you're guilty by association, sir.
You're just you don't come on. I just gave you the numbers, Pumper. Give me another receiver that's even close that you think is a big time receiver that is even close to those drops. I didn't make them up. You can look it up. It's Google. It's free for everybody. Look it up. You have the Pumper eyes. You think this guy is what you think he is. 17 drops. There's no receiver in pro football that has 17 drops in the current modern environment. Guy was a phenomenal athlete, big play player, made some big plays in big situations, dropped the football a ton. The slander is to put him in the same category as Jerry Rice and Randy Moss.